Okay, here we're going to be looking at testimonial evidence and how it may relate to a witness that might be brought in to relay what they saw at a crime scene, for example. So, eyewitness evidence. This can be oral or written statements. They can be useful to help in investigation, but are not considered highly reliable. So even though a lot of effort may go into finding a witness, their evidence that they provide is often not considered to be highly reliable. In a court setting, eyewitness testimony can have an influence on the trial, though. So this is important to remember this balance between what actually happened and what is reliable evidence and what may influence the jury during the trial. So the same but different. Two people can view the same scene in different ways, which can be due to the simple angle that they were viewing. Did it occur in the middle of the street and it was one person on one side of the street, or the other was one person in the street? There's simple angle of viewing depending on cars in the way or other objects. Familiarity with the area. Is this someone that was visiting the area? Is this someone who's lived there a long time? That can also influence how much detail they're able to provide. Age of the individual, race of the witness and the suspect. We'll talk about that in a moment. Drug use, whether they want to admit it or not. Person's ability to remember the details, and basically other stories that might get involved or layered in that may distract from the original occurrence of the crime. So age impacts eyewitness accuracy. So what's interesting is that young children and the elderly have a high rate of accuracy when a lineup contains the actual suspect. However, when the suspect is not present, this increases the rate of mistaken identities. Just because you have a lineup of 5 people here, you hope that you'd have the actual person that's guilty there, but we have to remember that it may not always be the case. So there could be mistaken identities. People could think that, oh yeah, I'm not sure remember exactly how they looked, but you know what, it really looked a lot like, number 2 here or something. That can lead to that false or mistaken identities and then lead them to develop their own story in their head, even though it may not be accurate. Race has an impact, so people are generally able more accurately identify people of their own race. It's important when we're looking at someone pointing someone out of a lineup. If it is someone of a different race, the odds are of mistaken identities is increased if that race is different than the person doing the identifying. Drugs alter your memory. Drugs use can impact a person's ability to remember events even after the drug effects are no longer active. So this could have an influence based on their memory, and they may not want to admit that they use drugs before, or after, especially if they're illegal drugs. So this is just, again, something to consider when you're looking at eyewitness testimony. And lastly, peer influence. Someone's testimony can be influenced by other witnesses' accounts of the events. If they hear what someone else said, they might kind of be leaning in that direction or kind of go down the wrong path. This is why open-ended questions tend to be used to allow the witness to not be guided by how the question was asked. Trying to leave it more open-ended rather than kind of getting into exact detail, even though that's what somebody may want when they're kind of interrogating or interviewing someone. So also keeping them isolated, not allowing them to hear other people's testimony can also be beneficial, that they won't kind of be influenced by other stories that they may hear.